Thank you very much, Dr. Sever. Because our time is limited, I cut it my speech, but I hope that probably later you will publish all speeches from this forum. But let me start with the position that each boundary period of development of the civilization is connected to a turbulent transposition of the geopolitical layers. There are strong social, political, economic, military, and tectonic processes dynamically changing the aspect of all spheres of life of the public organism and international community. In their totality, they trace new state frontiers, rearranging the puzzle of military and political unions, regroup ethno-cultural and religious communities. All these civilization tectonics preceding the phase of the new civilizing balance affects deeply not only the visible size of the international relations, but also the deep socio-psychological layers of the personality and the human relations. A logical consequence of these tectonic processes in the boundary phase of the civilization processes is the total destabilization of the existing until now system of international security. It shows itself both at regional and world level. As a result of this, the list of the strong players keeping the threads of the international policy rearranging itself. Some of them defend the places in the international relations, others advance to the top by force, while third ones disappear totally as subjects in the international relations. This from its sides leads to changes in the existing mechanism of communication in the world too. As a result of the dynamic rearranging the forces and the formation of centers of interest, they gradually erase and turn from an instrument of regional and world balance of very often varied interests into a field of forced pressure of selfish will. From mechanism called upon to guarantee the world peace and security in the interest of prosperity and civilizing progress, they turn into a Procrustean bed of the social progress. All this not only destabilizes the regional and world security, but activates pressure on all levels of the international relations. After the end of the Cold War in the 90s, it was officially declared that it was finally over. Today, however, we are witnessing not only the repetition of some of the scenarios that were used then, but also the injection of new content into efforts to isolate China and all those who tend to assume that we are all in one boat, and that much depends on whether there will be peace on this planet, on our ability to have constructive decisions that will enable us to lift our common boat called Earth out of the stormy sea of civilizational changes and changes. When we talk about China, we must keep in mind that we are talking about a third of the world economy and more than 40% of the budget resources of the modern world. We are talking about the scientific and technical potential of the country that is the most prosperous in terms of discovery of a new page in the digital age of humanity. That is, we cannot try to remove China in any of these areas and not affect the stability of the world as a whole. The destructive policy toward China, read in another way, is destructive towards the overall preservation of the civilizational development and the security and peaceful progress of our planet. From the very beginning, when the Belt and Road Initiative was launched in an interview with China television, I said that it would be a deep mistake to regard the Belt and Road project as a purely economic project or a project that is above a geopolitical focus. Of course, it is both, but what distinguishes it from all the other initiatives that have been undertaken in the 20th century and now, since the beginning of the 21st century, is that it is fundamentally a civilizational project. And I think that this 11 years after the beginning of the Belt and Road Initiative, we confirmed this position of mine in an indisputable way. It became, on the other hand, popular, but on the second, it left the relatively narrow framework of the Chinese Silk Road. And today, in fact, more than 140 countries from all the continents of our planet participate in this initiative. We cannot give a full assessment of this project and what has been achieved in these years if we do not also resort to the language of numbers. During these 11 years, along the lines of the Belt and Road, China has provided almost as much credit and financial assistance to all other countries in the world as the World Bank has done. In parallel, during this period, over $1 trillion have been invested in a variety of projects that are related to this Chinese initiative. Of course, not only the funds involved have come officially through the government and official institutions of the People's Republic of China, but also those allocated to the project. They are included in the One Belt, One Road by those more than 140 countries that have signed treaties on participation in the project. Xi Jinping said some time ago that the main theme of Chinese foreign policy is to strive for achievements, follow the spirit of the times, and act proactively. We have certainly seen exactly that, both in Ukraine and the Middle East, as well as in other situations. Xi Jinping formulated these so-called two directions. China should lead the global community in building a more just and reasonable world order, and China should lead the global community in safeguarding international security. By quickly outlining and sketching the line of modern Chinese diplomacy, we see that Xi Jinping has made a significant contribution to it and directed towards greater foreign policy activity, which helps Beijing.
Dear Zahari,
yes,
please.
I am finishing now.
Please.
Gain additional respects and partners abroad, often quelling geopolitical conflicts started by other countries. The picture will be not comprehensive if we do not pay attention to some other directions, like spiritual cooperation and like the cultural cooperation between the nations. And all this already fills with a completely concrete content, in my opinion, the defining formula in the ideological and political concept of the Belt and Road, expressed perhaps most precisely by the President Xi Jinping, namely that the main is to come to the understanding that we are passengers in the same boat, and from our ability to have a normal dialogue to solve the problems that arise in this boat between us as representatives of different ethno-cultural communities, of different countries, and different interests. Of course, all this is very, very positive, but we can see that there is a big difference between this idea and this target and the present situation in our world. Because today, we hear about the situation in Cyprus, for example. We have the problems of the West Balkans. We have many problems also in the East, especially on the territory of Russia and Ukraine, etc., etc. More than 30 wars are going on all over the world. That's about this target is very positive, very good, but we are today too far from them. And the question, how can we change all this? Well, my personal opinion is that we must change this world. Of course, I can say I am Marxist. You remember the Marx manifest, Communist manifest. We must destroy this world and create a new one, a better one. How can we do it? Of course, by the help of the civil society. The people, the citizens, must well take the future in their hands. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, dear Professor Zahari.